Hi guys, and welcome to episode 18 of my vinyl and music collection. Before I start, I'd like to ask if you do like this podcast, will you please give it a subscribe? It means a huge amount to me. Anyway, without further ado, this week we're going to be talking about alternative rock and my collection. There are two parts to it, so we'll be talking about the second half of my alternative rock collection in a few weeks' time. We're going to start off with probably my favourite band of the 90s, and still is my favourite band, and that's the Cranberries. I got to see the Cranberries in 1996 when they were supporting REM in Cardiff on the Monster Tour, and I was a big fan before the tour as well. Absolute huge fan of Dolores O'Riordan, the girl singer. She was absolutely fantastic. Sweet girl who died far too young. I think it was 2018 when she passed away, and all very sad. The band consisted of Dolores O'Riordan, Noel Hogan on electric guitar, Mike Hogan, his brother, on bass, and Fergal Lawler on drums, and they were consistent right through the Cranberries' time, through all their albums. This is my favourite album, and it's called To the Faithful Departed, and every song on here is they're absolutely brilliant. Each one could be a single, each one is not a filler. It's a brilliant album. Starts off the track called Hollywood, and it's such a lovely song, Hollywood is, and it starts off, when we're talking alternative rock, we're talking, could be a little bit punky. Their influences are definitely punk rock, different from indie a bit more poppy. But anyway, the first track's called Hollywood. Absolutely adore it. It's every song is one of my favourites on here, but Hollywood is a great start to this album. Track 2 is called Salvation, and Salvation is another great rocky with a little bit of pop influence in it, and it's got a lovely riff running through it, and Dolores O'Riordan's voice is absolutely charming on that song called Salvation. Absolutely adore that song. When You're Gone is another lovely song. They wrote a lot about Ireland, even though they were from like a quieter part of Ireland, Limerick. They weren't around where the Troubles were, but they knew of the Troubles, up in the north. And one of their famous songs is called Zombie, which was about the bombings and the killings. Anyway, track 4 is called Free to Decide, another great song. Quite a rocky little number again. War Child, again, that would be the influence of Northern Ireland. Forever, Yellow Skies, gorgeous song. Last track on side 1, The Rebels. And it's a marvellous album. Side 2 is called, the first track's called I Just Shot John Lennon, and they'd have been quite young even when Lennon was at his peak in 1980 when he was killed. But obviously, Lennon was massive in the UK, even though he'd become Americanized. Track 2 is called Electric Blue, another great song. I'm still remembering track 3, track 4, Will You Remember? That's a lovely track. Track 5 is called Joe, and the last track is called Bosnia. If you're going to check out the Cranberries, any albums, and you're just going to buy one album, I would definitely say To the Faithful Departed. You won't regret it. It's absolutely brilliant. Nice little gatefold. Nice little inner in it. We've got some lovely pictures there. And they sat on, if you're a guitarist, you can see that they sat on a Vox AC15, and that's the back of the inner, and there's the picture of the band with the lovely Dolores O'Riordan. But it's, you know, I still can't believe to this day that we lost Dolores O'Riordan. She was she suffered terrible from a back injury, carrying a big guitar on stage, and she suffered greatly from that. I think we all still miss her, especially for a Cranberries fan, and she's buried in Limerick, and I will be going to Limerick this year, and hopefully I'll get down and I pay my respects where she's buried. Anyway, second album, I would say definitely are the godfathers of alternative rock, and that's Nick Cave and the Badseeds. I got into Nick Cave and the Badseeds about 2000, 2001, when I saw him on a very popular TV programme in the UK called Later. And even though I'd heard of Nick Cave, I wasn't really interested in listening to the music. But when I saw them playing live and playing tracks of this particular album, I was hooked. This album, although it's a double album, it's got one album plus a bonus track in it. And each and every one of these songs, I can honestly tell you, it's been my Sunday morning album for 25 years. I'll sit down with a cup of coffee, and this is my chill out album. It is absolutely brilliant. And obviously we've got Nick Cave. He's the main songwriter and singer. He's got a very colourful past. Born in Australia, lived most of his life in the UK, Brighton in fact. The lead guitar player on this, and one of the ones who kind of inspire Nick Cave, is a fella called Warren Ellis, and he is absolutely, he's brilliant. He'll play guitar, he'll play mandolin, electric mandolin, violin. He's absolutely brilliant. It's a great album. It's got some great artwork. This is a limited edition album, and this is the bonus album, vinyl, and this is the vinyl with all the songs and the lyrics on it. As I said, I got into Nick Cave in about 2001, and I did get to see them live in Manchester. I think it would have been about 2007, 2008, and absolutely brilliant band to watch live. And they're still playing live. I missed them last year in Cardiff. A bit upset about that, but I had other things on. And the tracks in here, and this is a laid-back album. It's quite melancholic. It's got some wonderful tunes. It's a really chill-out album. And the first track is called As I Sat Sadly by Her Side. It's a slow, moody song. And No More Shall We Part, track 2, again, moves on slowly, you know, with a deep melancholic genre to it. Then we got track 3, Hallelujah, and this is not the Leonard Cohen, Jeff Buckley song. This is Nick Cave's own Hallelujah, even though he's a huge Leonard Cohen fan himself. Track 4 is called Love Letter, and that's a lovely, lovely song. And I would check this album out seriously. It's nice, and I would check it out when you've got a bit of spare time where you need to be chilling. Side 2, I think one of my favourite songs in this album is called 15 Feet of Pure White Snow. He was great with titles, wasn't he? But it's just a great song. Track 2 on side 2, God's in the House. Even though he was a bit of a bluesman, he had a battle with Christianity. He had the devil on one shoulder and he had an angel on another shoulder. So a lot of his songs would have been fighting his sort of religious feelings. So that track's called God's in the House. Track 4, Oh My Lord, again, could be quite religious, but it's a driving, melancholic song again. Sweetheart Come Home is just a lovely love ballad. And the bonus side, sorry, we've got The Sorrowful Wife, We Came Along This Road, Gates of the Garden, and Darker with Age. This is one of my all-time favourite albums, and I can't tell you how much I actually love this album. It's absolutely brilliant. And I said, it's my Sunday morning go-to album. That's actually the receipt. I usually put for some reason I put receipts when I buy the vinyls in there, and this was 2001, and the album cost me £11.99. It's not a gatefold. The two vinyls slip nicely in there, and as we can see on top there, it tells us it's a limited edition album. Nick Cave and the Badseeds, No More Shall We Part. If you're going to listen to any Nick Cave albums, this one be one of them, or The Boatman's Call is another brilliant album. The Killers, we've discussed the Killers before. Now, I put them in indie last time, but they cross indie and alternative rock, and the reason they cross the two of them, they do lovely pop songs, and they can get quite dark and rocky as well, and very much with that Joy Division sound with them. Now, this definitely isn't in the same class as the early albums. This is called Wonderful Wonderful, and it's a recent album, and I do love the Killers, and I do love Brandon Flowers' vocals. I think he's brilliant. I wouldn't say every song on here is a classic. It's typical Killers, but with more of a poppier edge. It's a gatefold. Picture of the band, and we've got the lyrics there. You really need good eyesight to read those lyrics. And the tracks in here, the first track to me, I think is the best song, and it's called Wonderful Wonderful, and that's the title of the album. Second track's called The Man, Rut, Life to Come, Run for Cover, and then we've got a track called Tyson versus Douglas, and that would have been the famous Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight. I think it was in Japan, where Mike Tyson lost his first heavyweight battle, which is a bit of a shock to the world, really, and Buster Douglas was a rank outsider. But as I said, you know, sometimes the bridesmaids do win. Then we got Some Kind of Love, Out of My Mind, The Calling, Have all the songs been written? Now, I wouldn't recommend Wonderful Wonderful if you've never listened to the Killers before. I would definitely go back to their earlier stuff, like Sam's Town, for instance, or the B-sides and rarities. I think the Killers struggled a bit in the end. I don't think they stuck together as a band. I think they were drifting. I think Brandon Flowers was doing quite a bit of solo stuff. And so I think they were limping along. It's a good album. It's not my favourite album, but there's some nice songs on here, and it's more poppy rock rather than full-on alternative rock. Anyway, that's the Killers, called Wonderful Wonderful. Without doubt, one of my favourite duos, the White Stripes, and this album's called Icky Thump. And even though they were Americans, they had a great affinity with the north of England, and Icky Thump is like a little slang word or comment that they use up the north. and always loved the White Stripes. Reason being, I've spoke about my love of the blues, and the White Stripes covered lots of blues songs, especially on their early albums, with a massive, vein of blues going through nearly all their songs. Meg White has been criticised about her drumming. I think that's so ridiculous. Meg White's drumming is what it was. It suited the White Stripes. It was, they were a two-piece. They were electric guitar and they were drums, and their style was raw, energetic, and Meg White thumped those drums if her life depended on it. She was a quiet, introverted person who, when the White Stripes finished, it was Meg White who actually left the White Stripes, and she never came back into the music business again. She took a lot of criticism. Obviously, there's a lot of chatter about who Meg and Jack really were. There was this talk that they were brother and sister. There was talk they were just bandmates, and the top conspiracy of all is that they were actually married, and I think that's the one which actually came out. So it's a lovely gatefold album. It's got a lovely picture of Jack and Meg White in the middle of it, and it's got a nice little cardboard inner to it. There's not much more to the sleeves. It's just ordinary white sleeves, and Jack White actually says that he's rambling a bit here, and when he was rambling, he wrote it down, and his ramblings are written on the front and on the back. And his words is, "I saw an image of someone I once knew today, and it made me write down my first impressions. I don't normally tend to do that. Guess that makes me an impressionist." So we've got the inner with the lyrics on it. And as I said, they were a two-piece band. They didn't use anyone else. No one backed them. They were Jack White guitar and vocals and Meg White on drums. And this is a fantastic album. I'll read out some of the tracks to you. The first one is the title track of the album, Icky Thump. It's a brilliant song. Love that one. You Don't Know What Love Is, which is track 2. Track 3, 300 miles per hour, torrential outboard blues. There's always a bit of blues with the White Stripes. Track 4, Conquest. Track 5, Bone Broke. Track 6, Prickly Thorn but Sweetly Worn. They were an energetic band, but they could bring it back as well a bit, and there were some nice tracks in here where they brought it back a bit, Track 7, St. Andrew, This Battle Is in the Air. Side 2, Little Cream Soda, Rag and Bone. Track 10, I'm Slowly Turning Into You. Track 11, Martyr for My Love for You. Catch Hell Blues, another bluesy number again. And track 13, Effective and Cause. One of my favourite White Stripes songs is called Pretty As You Are. And it's a lovely song. It's not on this album. Pretty As You Are was on an earlier album. And if you want to get into the White Stripes, this is one of the albums, and the first ever album. It's quite bluesy and it's quite raw. But look for the track called Pretty As You Are. It's a really lovely, lovely, lovely song. There it is. White Stripes, alternative rock stroke blues, and it's called Icky Thump. The Manic Street Preachers, the Welsh legends. I'll always bring out a Welsh album, a Welsh band, a Welsh artist, and the Manic Street Preachers have been at the forefront of British rock and alternative rock since, I would say, 1988, 1989. Great band, and steeped in punk rock. Although they weren't around, they were quite young when punk was about, but they listened to punk. The Clash was one of their famous bands which they loved. And they went to university in this city I live in now, Swansea, but they come from Blackwood in Gwent, near Caerphilly, which is about 40 miles just east of here. Manic Street Preachers, morally pushed, right? They played a gig in Cuba and they were just about to release an album, and the record company said to them, if you play Cuba, you will not have a record released in America. And they said, and so they weren't interested. To them, materialistic things were not of no interest to the Manic Street Preachers. They were in it for the art, for the creativity, to get a message out there. And they played Cuba, and Fidel Castro actually came to the gig, and there is a DVD out. But they didn't care. I think their albums are still boycotted in America to this day. They were originally a 4-piece band, and they consisted of James Dean Bradfield, which would have been lead vocals and lead guitar, brilliant singer, brilliant frontman. Then we had Nicky Wire, or Nicky Jones, but Nicky Wire, he went out to us. He's the lyricist and bass player, and he's an absolute lovely, charming man. They still, you know, even though they're probably millionaires, you can probably still see them around Cardiff or Newport, shopping or whatever. They've never left their roots. Drummer is Sean Moore, and he was a cousin of James Dean Bradfield. The fourth member was the creative heartbeat of the Manic Street, the Manic Street Preachers, and that was a fella called Richie James Edwards. And Richie James Edwards was the original creator, the writer of the songs. He was a deep soul. He wore his heart in his sleeve. He actually self-harmed on live TV once, scratching him with a razor blade into his arm. And the interviewer was shocked. Richie Edwards disappeared back in the early 90s. They never found his body, and he was declared dead 20 years later. And the Manic Street Preachers still put his royalties to one side in the bank, even though they don't have to. They always have. And this album is called Know Your Enemy. It's my favourite album. Obviously, there are, you know, the Manics produced and released really great albums, but this is my favourite one. It's a bit melancholic, it's a bit rocky. They always wrote about what was going on in their lives, what was happening around in the political world. They're unashamedly socialists, very intelligent, very academic. All of them went to university, all got their degrees and masters, whatever. Anyway, track 1, Found That Soul, great song. Track 2 is a really melancholic song called Ocean Spray. Now, Ocean Spray was that cranberry drink, and James Dean Bradfield was nursing his mother who was dying from cancer, and they heard that drinking cranberry juice, especially Ocean Spray, might help with the symptoms. So he wrote the song called Ocean Spray. Seriously, listen to it. It's an absolute lovely song. Track 3, Intravenous, Agnostic. Track 4, So Why So Sad. Track 5, Let Robeson Sing. And that's a great song. And that's the great civil rights singer from the 1940s who got thrown out of America and settled in Merthyr Tydfil in South Wales. Track 6, The Year of Purification. Track 7, Wattsville Blues. Now, Wattsville is a little village up near Blackwood, and I've actually played Wattsville, and I played there with the great American guitar player called Jerry Donahue. I was a singer for about 6 years, and we did a tour of Robert Johnson's songs, and we actually played Wattsville, and it's just a tiny little village, and it's great. And to see that the Manics wrote a song about it, it's called Wattsville Blues. Track 8, Miss Europa Disco. That's great. Track 9, Dead Martyrs. B-side, His Last Painting. Track 2, My Guernica. Now, when I went to university, I studied the arts, and I studied Picasso, amongst others. But we studied a painting called Guernica, and it was Picasso's village or town, which was bombed by the Nazis during just before the start of World War II. And so he painted the picture Guernica. Check it out. It's quite a dramatic painting. It's huge. It's large. And anyway, track 3, The Convalescent. Track 4, Royal Correspondent. Track 5, Epicenter. Track 6, Baby Alien. Track 7, Freedom of Speech. And Won't Feed My Children. And this was produced by Dave Erenka. Manic Street Preachers, Know Your Enemy. And it's got a parental guidance in it, so there's a few swear words in it. Nice little inner. You can see, if you take a close look, it's Nicky Wire's way of writing songs, and it's basically bits of scrap paper that he was jotting the words down on. This is one of the albums I would definitely say, if you want to get into the Manic Street Preachers, great Welsh alternative rock band, huge, still selling out 35 years after they first started playing, and every gig they play, it's sold out. It doesn't matter how big the venue is. It could be arenas or whatever. They're an absolute amazing band, the Manic Street Preachers. Right, Crow Sit on Blood Tree. This is an album by Graham Coxon. Graham Coxon was the lead guitar player for one of the most major British bands of the 90s called Blur. Blur split up. They had many hits, and they were a great band. And they, other bands were created from them, like the Gorillaz and stuff. But Graham Coxon wanted to stick to a bit of rock and a bit of blues. This is such a rare album. It's unbelievably rare. I didn't realise how rare this album was. The first 500 copies were signed by him. I didn't realise till years later when I looked on this, and I thought, I didn't realise it was signed. And so on the inner inside, you can see Graham Coxon's signature. That's his bit of artwork, and this has been signed by him. I won't ever sell this album. It's a great album. It's quite eclectic, but I did check the price on this, and this is selling for circa about £300 or maybe $400, and it's a great album. It's Graham Coxon's. He's left Blur, and he's given his own little piece of freedom to write what he feels. That it's a double album, which is great. Obviously, we like a double album and we like a gatefold. This is like a brown cardboard cover, and the tracks in here will be Empty Word, I'm Going Away, All Is Gone. These are quite long songs, and definitely get into Blur before you get into Graham Coxon. Or if you are a massive Blur fan and you haven't realised that Graham Coxon released this quite rare album, maybe hunt it down as a CD or whatever. Track 2, Burn It Down, Too Uptight, Big Bird. Track 3, Tired, Hurt Prone, Bonfires. Track 4, Thank God for the Rain, You Never Will Be, A Place for Grief. One of my rarest albums. I have got more rare albums, but this one is ultra rare. I didn't realise how rare it was until I actually did a bit of research on it. You know, it's always been there. And then when it said the first 500 albums were signed, and I know not many more albums were sold after that. Two identical inners. On the back of one of the inners, we've got thanks to Peps, Jamie, Ben, Hells, Nina, Selena and Even. Written and performed by Graham Coxon, and it's got obviously the engineers, illustrations. All the illustrations you see on here, the paintings and the photographs, are by Graham Coxon and Alex Hutchinson. I think Alex Hutchinson was part of Blur as well. Brilliant, rare album. It won't be to everyone's liking. It's I said it's quite eclectic, but if you're into Blur, it's one that, you know, the hardcore collector needs. One of my favorite bands from California via Cambodia. We've done one Dengue Fever album, and this was released, I think, about circa 2010, I think, and it's called Escape from Dragon House. And they're a great band. They mix California surf music with Cambodian pop, and she's a princess. She's a Cambodian princess with this lovely voice, and she's got this California band behind them, and they're absolutely brilliant. There's not a lot inside here, it's just a vinyl, and it's actually a green vinyl, so I'll show you that. It was released as a green vinyl. I think it's quite rare. You've got a little inner, and it's a bit of Cambodia, and then we've got the band as well, and we've got a nice little bit of introduction. We've got Chom Nimol vocals, Ethan Holtzman, who would have been on organ and guitar, Zach Holtman, guitar and vocals, Dave Ralph horns, Paul Smith drums, and Senan Gallus Williams bass guitar. It's a great album. If you like Cambodian pop with a mix of Californian surf music, this is the album. Side A, We Gonna. Track 2, Say Bong. My Life King. Tap Water, Sleepwalking Through Megong. That's a great song. They actually did a DVD documentary with that name, Sleepless Through Megong. 1000 Tears of Zanilta. Side B, Escape from Dragon House. That's a title track. Made of Steam, Lake Dolores, Serum Rap, Hummingbird, and the last track, Revenge of Tanilta Remix. Escape from Dragon House. Dengue Fever, one of my favourite bands, really poppy, alternative, with a great rock guitar going through it. He plays a jazz master guitar, and she's got some of the sweetest vocals that you will come across. She's a princess, Cambodian princess. We spoke about this lady. Her name is LP, Italian New Yorker, absolutely brilliant songwriter. She's written for them all, Rihanna, Beyonce. There isn't anyone that she hasn't written for. And she decided, after writing all these great songs for all these artists, she'll produce her own albums and go on tour. I haven't seen her live yet, but I would love to. I would love to see this lady. Her name is LP, Italian New Yorker, and she's great. Check her on YouTube. She's got a podcast. It's very funny, and she's a very funny girl. And this album should be called the Orange Album, really, shouldn't it? It's called Heart to Mouth. I love it. It's a great album. We've got a little inner with lyrics and basically the personnel and stuff on it. Her name is Laura Pergotlizzi. Let me get that right. Percolizzi. It's my Welsh accent. I can't pronounce the Italian, so I'm sorry about that. So this is, again, one of my favourite songs. It's a great driving song. Obviously, I've got it on my MP3 when I'm driving in my car. And the tracks will be Dreamcatcher, When I'm Over You, One Night in the Sun, Girls Go Wild, Recovery, The Power, Dreamer, House on Fire, Hey Nice to Know Ya, Die for Your Love, Shaken and Special. It's on the Vagrant BMG label. And great singer. She got so many octaves. She just carries on. She just keep going as high as she wants. And check her out doing Beyonce's Halo on YouTube. It's just incredible. The octaves are just climbing. You know, I'm not going to exaggerate, but we talk about singers who've got 3 or 4 octaves. I think she can probably double that, you know. Anyway, LP, Heart to Mouth. Fantastic album. Love it. My driving album. A Manchester band, the Inspiral Carpets. These were one of the main protagonists for the Manchester sound, and they actually came out just before Oasis, and Noel Gallagher was the actual roadie for this band, and it was this band which basically encouraged him to create Oasis. The lead singer is a fella called Tom Hingley. Now, me and Tom are really good friends. I was Tom's music agent for many shows around the UK. He's just incredible singer, like a boy soprano. You need to listen to some of the Inspiral Carpet songs. He was on all the major hits, Tom Hingley was. And this album is called The Beast Inside, and the actual song The Beast Inside is one of my favourite songs, you know. And side 1 would be Caravan, Please Be Cruel, Born Yesterday, Sleep Well Tonight, Grip, and it finishes off with my favourite track, Beast Inside. It's a great song. Check it out, and check them out doing it live as well. Side 2, Niagara, Mermaid, Further Away, Dreams Are All We Have. And the personnel would be Tom Hingley, vocals. Then we've got the creator of the band called Clint Boone, who, you know, the Inspiral Carpets are still going, but not with Tom Hingley. Then we got Graham Lambert, Martin Walsh, and we've got Craig Gill. And poor old Craig Gill was the youngest member who sadly committed suicide a couple of years back. No one knows the suffering of of people with deep anxiety and mental health issues, and he had them. This is one of my favourite albums. A nice little inner. They did some great songs. They had many top 10 hits in the UK, but without the Inspiral Carpets, without doubt, you would have not got Oasis. These were the forerunners of the Manchester sound, and Noel Gallagher was the roadie, and he left Inspiral Carpets to create Oasis. So that's a fantastic album, and it's my favourite album by the Inspiral Carpets, and The Beast Inside, even if you just want it for that one song. It's brilliant, fantastic album. The Inspiral Carpets, The Beast Inside. Going to finish off with quite a new album, and they're called Public Service Broadcasting, and it's called Every Valley. Now, this is not a Welsh band, but they are singing about the South Wales coalfields, about the strike of 1984, and they've used choirs in it. The Manic Street Preachers are on here, and as you can see there, we can see a miners' choir. Don't get fooled by this album. It's got some absolutely great modern rhythms going through it, great soundtrack to it. It's got this really kind of not hip hop, but there's percussion in here which is quite deep and quite memorable, and it's got we've got like a talk, we've got a spoken piece on here as well, and that's just lovely to listen to. And so we've got the first track is called Every Valley. Second track, The Pit. That's what you would call a colliery or a mine, The Pit. Track 3, People Will Always Need Coal. Track 4, Progress. Track 5, Go to the Road. Track 6, All Out. Track 7, Turn No More. Track 8, They Give Me a Lamp. Well, a lamp was a miner's lamp, and it wasn't for them to see. They had a lamp on their head, but the lamp they carried, the flame would change colour when they were underground, and it would tell them if there was any poisonous gases. So the flame would change from, you know, blue to yellow to whatever, you know. They'd use canaries before that, and if a canary's feathers changed colours, it meant that there was poisonous gases. But the lamp took over from that. And track 9, You and Me. Track 10, Mother of the Village. And track 11, Take Me Home. This is a brilliant album, especially if you come from like working class roots. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, you know. There are coal mines in every part of the world, in Africa, in America, all over the UK, Europe, Ukraine. It's a nice little inner to it as well, and it's Every Valley, and it's basically a booklet. And we're talking about the mines, and they're actually naming the mines here. So I'll read out some of these Welsh mines for you now. My dad and my brother were coal miners, and their coal mine was called Abernant Colliery. So we've got largest coal mining disasters in Wales. So this is where lots of miners would have been killed. So 1825 would have been Cwnlynfell, which I know very well. 1852 Dyffryn, 1856 Cama, 1860 Risca Black Vein Pit, 1867 Ferndale, and it goes right on until the tragic Aberfan of 1966, when an old coal tip dislodged itself with thousands of tons of coal slurry and coal which slid down a mountainside and engulfed a little primary school in Aberfan, and many children died and school teachers, and we're talking a huge amount. I think there's about 60 children actually died. Could be wrong on that one, but I know it was a huge amount. I've got it here. The number of fatalities was 144, and they were mainly children. And that was a coal tip collapsing and sliding down a mountainside. It's a graded liner. It's a proper little booklet, and it's got really interesting discoveries in your issues. We've got a big thanks or whatever, yeah, and all the people who are involved with it. And as I said, the Manic Street Preachers and James Dean Bradfield were huge with this album, and that is called Every Valley, and it's the public service broadcasting. That's the name of the band. Check it out. It's deep, it's melancholic, it's got some real fantastic percussion going on in it. Not your hip hop type percussion, but it's there. It's quite modern. Anyway, that's one of my favourite albums. I'll often delve into that one and think of my father, my grandfather, and my brothers, who all went underground to dig the coal. I never went underground. I was too young. The mines were closing by the time I got to, get employed there, but there wasn't any employment left there. Anyway, that's it from me, episode 18, and I look forward to seeing you next week for episode 19, and take care everyone, and have a fantastic week. The sun is shining in the UK, especially in Swansea, South Wales. See you next week, guys.